What are we looking at? Is that what I think it is?
This is the map of the United States, and in red you can see the state of California. But what lies on the eastern side of California, adjacent to the majestic Mammoth Mountain, is a ticking time bomb that could soon unleash unimaginable destruction. The Long Valley Caldera, depicted in yellow on the map, is the most feared volcano in California, and it is about to spew its contents. Experts have been warning of imminent volcanic eruptions, but little did we know that we were underestimating the signs. Recently, scientists have verified that the potential catastrophe of the Long Valley Caldera may cause a new era of the Ice Age, resulting in severe and catastrophic effects. How did they discover this alarming truth? What are the implications of such a catastrophic event? Get ready to uncover the shocking details as we delve into how scientists are warning that a California volcano is about to blow, and Long Valley could be the trigger for a new ice age. Eastern California is home to a colossal bowl-shaped crater that sits about 20 miles south of Mono Lake. This crater, known as the Long Valley Caldera, was formed 760,000 years ago when a massive eruption caused the magma chamber beneath it to collapse. Unfortunately, this caldera is still highly active and capable of producing eruptions that can impact areas as far away as Nevada, Sacramento, and Reno. And if it can reach these far-off regions, imagine the havoc it would wreak on the nearby bustling resort town of Mammoth Lakes, not to mention the other small towns in the area. Despite the potential danger, not enough attention is being paid to the risks these communities face. But it's not just the immediate area that's at risk. A major eruption from the Long Valley Caldera could affect a large part of the United States, and if that's not terrifying enough, the eruption would also leave behind a blanket of toxic ash that would cover everything in sight. The previous eruption that formed the Long Valley Caldera resulted in 2,200 square kilometers being covered in hot volcanic material, a sobering thought indeed. But it gets worse. The Long Valley Caldera is showing signs of an impending eruption, and this time it could be catastrophic enough to trigger a new ice age. Scientists are closely monitoring the caldera's every move, but are we truly ready for the impending disaster that could be unleashed? News about the impending danger began to spread when scientists, geologists, and locals in the area started to feel a series of tiny earthquakes in the vicinity of the Long Valley Caldera. This unusual phenomenon immediately sparked fear in the minds of scientists, as they knew that this massive ancient volcano had been dormant for hundreds of thousands of years, and now it was showing signs of waking up. The experts realized that if the volcano erupted, it would be so catastrophic that it could potentially cause a new ice age by blocking out the sun. After issuing warnings to the public, the United States Geological Survey designated Long Valley Caldera as a high-risk threat potential. This organization monitors volcanoes and earthquakes around the world and understands that millions, if not billions of people could lose their lives if the volcano erupts. Despite not seeing magma seeping out of a crack or smoke coming out of the top, scientists knew that danger was lurking when over 150 earthquakes occurred, with at least one of them registering a magnitude of 3.9. The majority of these earthquakes happened in Mammoth Lakes, the nearest town to the caldera, which was a scary realization. With a supervolcano that last erupted 760,000 years ago and most recently 16 to 17,000 years ago, one might think it is no longer active. But the USGS considered the Long Valley Caldera area volatile and monitored it closely. However, with the emergence of these recent and significant earthquakes, it has become clear that the volcano is still very active. Geophysicists and researchers, like David Shelley from the USGS, have warned that the potential consequences of another massive eruption should not be ignored. But hold on to your hats, folks, because the experts say that if this supervolcano blows, there's nothing we can do about it. But wait, if that's the case, then how did they figure out what caused the recent earthquake swarm that's got everyone on edge? Well, a recent study presented at the Seismological Society of America annual meeting revealed that it was actually a surge of meltwater seeping through vertically tilted rock layers that was responsible for the series of earthquakes that set off the eruption warning. The discovery was made by researcher Emily Montgomery Brown and her colleagues from the USGS, who analysed seismic and water records from the region over the past 33 years. What they found was a significant correlation between seismicity and stream discharge, with 37 times more earthquakes occurring during wet periods compared to dry ones. This phenomenon altered the pore pressure in the rocks below the surface, triggering small earthquakes. Although earthquakes have been linked to heavy rainfall before, this study provides much stronger evidence for their connection. The shallow nature and unusual distribution of the earthquakes led to the discovery that they were caused by seeping water and not volcanic processes related to the Long Valley Caldera. And while these shallow earthquakes are not likely to trigger deeper faults in the area, it's still important to keep a close eye on the situation. Montgomery Brown is always keeping an eye on volcanic activity and magma movement through her study of seismic signals and ground deformation. However, she faced a new challenge when heavy snowmelt created seasonal signals in her data that made it difficult to differentiate volcanic activity from the deformation. When a swarm of earthquakes occurred on the edge of the caldera in 2017, Montgomery Brown and her colleagues were initially unsure whether it was caused by volcanic activity. However, while giving a tour to a new manager, she had a chance encounter with managers from the Mammoth County Water District who were discussing the spring runoff flooding. This conversation led to a eureka moment for Montgomery Brown, as she realized how the runoff and the earthquake swarm could be linked. Despite this discovery, informing the public about a potential volcanic eruption could be challenging due to a previous announcement that turned out to be a false alarm. Local entrepreneurs are furious with geologists for issuing a previous warning, stating that they would rather take their chances with a restless volcano than see their economy ruined by fear. This attitude is now a concern for state and local disaster officials who, in collaboration with federal geologists, are trying to create a new system to warn the public of volcanic hazards in the region. The previous system that resulted in 2 warnings about volcanic activity in the early 1980s was discounted in 1983 due to the reluctance to raise a false alarm. According to Dr. Richard Andrews, Chief Deputy Director of the Earthquake and Volcano Program at the California Office of Emergency Services, it's a tough decision to make about when to alert the public. Routine warnings about current volcanic activity can deter tourists, but if geologists believe an eruption is imminent, the public must be notified and evacuated. However, they don't want to cry wolf and create unnecessary panic like they did in Mammoth Lakes earlier. Mammoth Lakes is a village of about 5,500 residents, known for its tourist attractions and geological features, including the Long Valley Caldera, which is now displaying renewed signs of volcanic activity, and this is the first time modern geologists have been able to observe such events. The warning system was developed after 4 earthquakes measuring 6 on the Richter scale occurred in 1980. Geologists were shocked by the phenomenon and discovered that the lava dome beneath the caldera had risen by 10 inches between late 1979 and early 1980, resulting in a series of small earthquakes through 1982 as the dome continued to expand. On May 27, 1982, federal geologists issued a notice of potential volcanic hazard, the lowest level of warning in the system used at the time. The notice was released on a Friday afternoon before a local weekend festival, which had an immediate impact. Tourists stayed away and the local economy collapsed. Housing prices dropped by 40% overnight, and over the next few years, numerous businesses closed down, leaving residents to find employment elsewhere. And public anxiety was running high in early 1983, with 2 magnitude 5 earthquakes, a continuing swarm of smaller quakes, and evidence of the dome rising by 3 inches. Federal geologists debated issuing a volcano watch, a warning to prepare for potential danger, but held off to observe the situation. Confidence in the town didn't fully return until 1986, and the economy gradually recovered. Then, in 1989, signs of activity in the caldera began to emerge again, with thousands of small earthquakes and evidence of the dome rising again. Despite this, geologists have not alerted the public, and Dr. Hill, a geologist, argues that there are good reasons to stay quiet for now. With more sophisticated instruments than in 1983, researchers are observing the caldera's behavior closely, and while the situation is potentially menacing, it is not an immediate threat. There are multiple magma chambers underneath the caldera capable of causing significant volcanic eruptions, but not on the scale of 700,000 years ago. Despite this, geologists are cautiously optimistic in their decision to withhold a warning from the public, citing recent behavior from other active calderas that have not erupted despite similar activity. Nevertheless, the possibility of a catastrophic eruption cannot be ruled out entirely. According to scientists, there are several indicators that may provide strong warnings in the days or weeks preceding a violent volcanic eruption. These include notable earthquakes that cause ground tilting, changes in magnetic fields, harmonic earth tremors, and other signals suggesting that the magma is moving closer to the surface. And now that